Hello and welcome to Yukonversations, where we talk to interesting Yukoners. Today I'm talking to Kathy Munro, aka KJ Munro, and she's not only a poet, but she is also the person who created the organization called Solstice Haiku here in the Yukon. Kathy's helped me so much, and many of us so much, to have the confidence not only to write haiku but also to perform it, and a lot of us have gotten published through Solstice Haiku. I could go on, but I think we should just let Kathy tell us about what got all this started, or maybe you prefer to talk about some new work you're doing. Your choice.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much for inviting me here, Ian. This is super fun. And so I'm open to any questions or, what do you want to know?
Well, I guess we should start with talking about haiku.
Okay.
And what it is and the difference between what happened when it was brought over from Japan.
Right.
It changed.
Yeah.
So, I'll let you
talk
about that. Yeah.
This is, like my understanding, is that the haiku was, among other Japanese and Asian art forms and things that were brought to the West at various times in history. And we owe a lot, us English speakers, to the early translators of the work because most people, outside of Japan don't speak Japanese. So we relied on these translators to, create a body of work that we could understand as English speakers. So I couldn't tell you the dates, but it goes back hundreds of years. And then there was more and more interest and more different people doing the translating and more people moving to Japan and living there and learning more about the culture. And so it's really been a long process that's still going on, I presume. But anyway, so from my point of view, I think it's fair to say that English language haiku has become its own thing, and I think that this is understood in Japan and welcomed. Haiku is considered a national treasure in Japan, and we recognize that English language haiku is not the same as Japanese haiku. So it's evolved from it, and it's its own thing, and it's sort of doing its own thing, and it's all wonderful, It's all good.
When would you say that was it the 60s, the beat poets and whatnot that brought it over?
Well, I think there was some in the 50s. I think there were some earlier translators, but sure, a lot of the beat poets got really into Eastern ways of thinking, and they were very influenced by the early translators of Japanese haiku, I would say. And then, so it's just broadened, and, there's some really appealing aspects to this art form because it's so short. People like it, and they like to write it, and they like to hear it. And there are all kinds of different sayings about haiku, like it's haiku are written to be shared, for example, right? So it's really important to consider that, and the haiku community is really into that. It's a lot of what haiku poets do is share their work and encourage other people to share their work, that kind of thing. But the actual poem itself has changed and evolved from the traditional Japanese form that is still written and is still written this way in English too by some people, where it's 17 syllables. But for most English language poets now, the poems are much shorter. That's one of the ways it has evolved to become a shorter poem. The traditional nature aspect has been dropped, so it's no longer required as a traditional element because so many poets are urban people.
Yeah, right.
And the whole idea is to write in the present moment and write about what you're observing. So so yeah, for a lot of people, it's not nature really at all. And so the whole concept, it's just totally evolved to include a lot more in terms of topic maybe, and also shortened in terms of expression, I guess. But there are certain key elements that, still exist. And I would just
between the Japanese style and
what people are writing
right.
now. But I think that I would say, it's obviously, I could go on and on for hours, but I think
That's
it's, but I think that sort of the main components from my point of view would be that it's this idea that I'd say a haiku is about three things, and two of them you write down. And the third thing is what happens in the reader's head or the listener's head. So there's like a component of the poem that is and it is experienced by the reader, but not spelled out by the poet, right?
Yeah, it's pretty subtle, some of it, eh?
Yeah, totally. And also really subjective.
Yeah.
So it's like, what does this, what resonates in this poem for me might be different for someone else. And there's no right answer. It's just wonderful. Like everything, any kind of, any way that the poem resonates for the reader is considered wonderful. So, we just want as many different meanings as possible and as many different ways of experiencing the poem and getting something from it. That's what it's about.
Talk about experience, and there's so much to talk about. But I'd like to stay on the Japanese thing because you connected us with the Japanese people from a sister city in Japan.
Yes.
And that was an amazing time.
Yeah, that was really fun.
Yeah.
So this is a city program that the city of Whitehorse has, because we have a sister city in Japan, and they do a student exchange. And I think it's every year that either students go from Whitehorse to this city in Japan or the other way around. And that was last summer, I think.
That was so fun.
Yeah.
That was so interesting.
You came to help, and some other people came to help from Solstice. And, so it was just a little haiku writing afternoon. And I thought it was interesting that the students kind of got into it, but I thought that the adults who were from Japan got into it even more, and because they all studied haiku in school, and I think they all still do. But it was interesting to me how involved the adults were in that workshop.
Yeah, it was really, really fun.
Yeah.
And then I want to talk, too, about the tea ceremony, since we're talking about the Japanese kind of crossover. That was a really, really interesting afternoon, too.
Right.
Although it took quite a while to get a cup of tea.
Yes, exactly. Right?
But it was really interesting to watch all the what do you call it, the ritual,
exactly.
I suppose.
That's the word that comes to mind for me.
Yeah.
And I think that, again, this is, centuries of tradition and learning. And we're really fortunate that Whitehorse is such an amazing place that there is a very strong Japanese association here, and they study different things, and there's a group. One of the things is the tea ceremony, and these people, they practice and study it, and we were lucky enough that they wanted to share that with us. And so, wonderful afternoon in the library, in the meeting room there, but it took them a long time to set it up, and there's so many different components in terms of having the right scroll with the right sort of saying for the day or the afternoon of the ceremony, and then and they also had like some kind of floral arrangement that was also to do with the season, I think, and the specifics of what they were doing, and then the actual making of the tea that is really ritualistic and really carefully done. And there's it's just fascinating, and it's so different, as you say, like, from the West, where we just sort of slap things together, and you know what I mean? Like it's so completely different, and it's just wonderful to experience it and to to share and be able to talk to people about it and learn from them, right? It's so we're really fortunate here.
Yeah, it was fun. I talked to one of the ladies after, and I said, "How did you remember all that ritual? Like there was a lot.
Yeah.
It was hours.
Well, a couple hours,
couple
probably.
hours,
Yeah.
So, and she said there were mistakes, but we covered them up.
Right.
Like they have ways of kind of smoothing it all out and making it look fluid.
Right.
So it was that was interesting.
Well, and again, I'm sure I wouldn't have noticed any.
No,
I don't know
never noticed.
Didn't know what it's supposed to be like, so I wouldn't know if they weren't doing it right.
Yeah.
But I just knew that they were doing every little step with such care
Yeah.
and attention to detail, and it's not just what it looks like or how it tastes, or it's what it sounds like, and you pay attention to so many more details. It's really interesting.
It was a meditation kind of.
Exactly.
It was definitely a meditation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've done so many different things too, and we do when we do the walking haikus. Are they? What's it called then again?
A ginkgo.
Ginkgo. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've done some of those at the art gallery,
Yep.
at the art center, and then
Yeah.
some just walking around the front of the art center,
Yeah.
which is very interesting. It has a lot of sculptures. Any kind of like a sculpture garden, or I've done that along the river too. Just walking along the Yukon that's right.
River.
We did it there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So that's where a ginkgo is. That's another Japanese word, but it translates roughly to haiku walk. And so the idea traditionally would be that, in my understanding, of course, is that you would walk usually in nature, but as you say, it doesn't have to be. So like an art gallery is actually a really interesting place to do this.
Yeah.
But anyway, you just walk around and you're just open to your senses, like what do you see, what do you hear, what does this remind you of?
Yeah.
Everything like that. And then I think traditionally people would sit at the end of the walk and write haiku, based on their experience.
Right.
But I like to take notes, so I tend to encourage people just to take notes all the time and write down whatever strikes you, and then at the end you can sit and try and shape some of those ideas maybe into a poem that can work.
You have an ability, and I'm not blowing smoke. Like you really do have an ability to make us all feel good as we're progressing.
Aw.
Yeah, well, it's
Thank
true.
you. That's very kind of you to say.
Well, it's very true, and everybody says the same thing. Everybody I talk to, so you help us a lot. But what I'm curious, and somehow you manage to do that without making us feel. You point out things that could be better, right? Without making us say, scrap the whole thing, or like you have a real, I don't know if diplomacy is the right word for that.
Thank you. Well, that comes from the people I've worked with, I suspect,
is that right?
more than anything. Yeah, and I can remember. I don't know if you've heard of Brian Brett, but he's a what we would call a mainstream poet, as opposed to a haiku poet. But I remember I took a workshop with him years ago, and it's like, well, take that part out, but don't, like, it was never throw it away.
Yeah.
It's like just use it somewhere else, So that's kind of the basis for it, right? But haiku are so short that you end up having to take usually quite a lot out. You know what I mean? Like, you can only have so much in there. So if you have other ideas, it's always good to try and use them somewhere else.
I think too, it's also good, just for me anyway, it's been really good for just editing things down and trying to get to the point quickly.
Yeah, and that's what I've and other people have always said too, is that that's one of the skills that you learn when you learn how to write haiku. So that's why we say it's really, really good for any writer to learn haiku, how to write a haiku, because you learn skills that will help you in whatever kind of writing you're doing. Because, learning how to edit and cut out things is very valuable.
Oh, yeah. There wasn't too much going on here with haiku before you started the Solstice Haiku.
No.
Was that the original name,
Yeah.
Solstice Haiku?
Well, it was just it was just a haiku discussion group for quite
Okay.
a while, and then I called it Solstice.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. So how I think the origin story would be that I was at a conference in Washington State, and I mean, I think I had felt for a long time that I wanted to form a group of people to talk about poetry in general, but as I got more into haiku, anyway, I was at this conference, and they did some kind of icebreaker thing where we were all in this one big room, and so most of the people were from the U.S. It was in Washington State, and so they sort of said, well, if that's like east and west and north and south, like just situate yourself in the room, like as if it were a map, and then we'll see. You know, you might find some people who live close to you, kind of thing. Like that, right? So anyways, I was way up in one corner of the room by myself.
Of course. Nobody lives
And
here.
everybody else was down in the other part of the room. And some, you know, some were on one side and some on the other. But yeah, and I just kept saying, I'm lonely. I'm lonely.
So did you get adopted by another part of the planet?
Well, we went back and did something else after that. So yeah, it was only for a few minutes.
Oh.
But it really got me thinking, you know, and I know there are some haiku poets in Alaska.
Right.
But,
yeah.
you know, that's still a long ways away. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it's not a place I'm going to go to on a regular basis. Anyway, so I had strong support from some women who were in a book club with me, and I had shared poetry with them and some of my journey with them over the years. And anyway, so they were really supportive, and also a local coffee shop owner, Lauren Tuck, who had the Raw Gallery.
Right,
She was looking for groups to come on Saturday to her, because that was a slow day at her coffee shop. And so I talked to her, and she was really encouraging.
Yeah.
And so I started it, and we started going there. And it was really just, I didn't know how it would turn out, you know, but a few people came, and I just kept advertising, and people would bring their friends, and more people heard about it, and people come and go, you know, from the group over time. But for me, it's been super rewarding, and I don't consider myself a teacher at all. I just share things that I know, and I share, you know, things that I've heard about, and that's basically the basis of it right there.
Well, I'll give you teacher status. Whether it's up to you if you wanna call yourself. I really think you're amazing, like an amazing teacher.
Thank you.
I think some people it's just in them, you know.
Yes,
yeah.
I there's a lot of teacher in my family and background, but so. Yeah, I would just say that I consider it more just sharing, and and I have as much to learn as anybody else, and so it's always that give and take, right? It's like everybody has something to learn, and everyone has something to share, and that's kind of the model.
Yeah, I was when you were talking about spoken haiku, that it's important to verbalize it. It's probably not the right word, but. I was thinking about when we did that contest way back in 2013. There was you organized, you and some other people organized a poetry festival.
Oh, right.
And you let me sit in on the judging of the. I didn't really know any. I don't know. I was going to drive cars around or drive people around. That's what I thought I was doing that weekend. But anyway, we ended up. I ended up sitting in on the judging of the contest. And I remember saying, I don't like any of these poems. And then you said, well, I'll read one. And it turned out, I'll never forget it, because and I'm being really honest here, it turned out the one I really, really hated the most was the one I liked the most when I heard it aloud.
Right.
But it's like they come to life for me.
Absolutely. Well, that's true of all poetry, though. I'm going to say, like,
is that right?
Yeah, all poetry should be read aloud.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's really good advice for people writing it. You know, like, read it. And interestingly, I'm in a little, I guess a little critique group or something like that online.
Oh yeah.
And we just met this morning, and they both the women in this group. I read my poem, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I like it way better."
Yeah.
When you read it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to make a few changes to my poem that from what they said that will make it better. But it's really true. Poetry is verbal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing I want to mention too is like, don't be intimidated by it. That's like I was very intimidated by poetry, and I thought, this isn't, I can't do this stuff. I don't know anything. But like, because of you and the Solstice Haiku group and everybody, is just this very supportive environment, and they will help you through. And I do believe there's a poet in all of us of some sort. Everybody it's I don't like to say the should, but it's kind of like hard to say without saying should.
Right.
But it really is something you should try. But it's because if you try it, then you'll find out,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I would go so far as to say that I think that there's like a creative force or creativity in everybody. So, some people, it might not be actually writing poetry. It might be writing music or, creating something like visual art or even like cooking or, there's sewing. Like there's lots of aspects to it, we'll say. Like woodworking. That's super artistic, right? Super creative, but doesn't maybe use words. But then there's other things like dance, which really intrigued me at the beginning. I did some interesting experiments, I guess, with poetry experiments with dancers years ago. Because what really struck me is that, choreographers use language, like, words, to communicate to the dancers what to do, basically, right? And then, but when you see the dance, there's no words usually. So the dancers sort of incorporate the words from the choreographer into movement, and then the audience just sees the movement. But I was really interested in the words that the choreographer was using, to communicate to the dancers, sort of in the practices, So I sat in on a whole series of practices and I wrote down what the choreographer said and did some poetry based on what the choreographer was saying.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
Really artistic, like really creative phrasing and imagistic, phrasing. It was really interesting. Really interesting.
I was thinking the same thing would be with, for directors.
I'm sure.
I'm sure it's like trying to get that
in film.
Interpreted. Into what
Absolutely.
you want the actors to do.
And like what kind of expression they're looking for and stuff like that. Right?
Yeah.
It would all be communicated. It's using words and language to communicate. So poetry is that too, but it's just a little bit different. Yeah.
Right.
So it's interesting to explore the different uses of language for sure.
Yeah. You've traveled a lot. I guess that, we've all benefited from your traveling and meeting a lot of haiku poets from all over the world, I guess.
Well, yes, some from around the world, but mostly, like I've only just traveled in North America for that.
Okay.
I think it's fair to say. But there's different conferences that I've tried to go to as much as possible. Because, again, it's just, I'm just really drawn to this particular genre of poetry. And the people I've met in the haiku world are really very different from even other poets, I would say. And it's just a very generous community. And there's different reasons for that, I think. One of the main reasons is because we all understand that there's no money in it. So it's not about, selling a script or, something like that. It doesn't have anything to do with that. And then the other thing is that because haiku is written in the present, is about being aware in the present moment, which is more of a philosophy, I think.
And a meditation.
It's related to that, right? And so when you get, 50 or 100 or 200 people in a room and they are all of that kind of mindset, then it's like they're all already sort of on the same wavelength to start with. So it's not like we all get along or something, but we mostly get along. And we have the same kinds of interests. And it's really just being observant and but also being creative, you know. And so we have a lot of things in common, even though there's a lot of things that are different too. But anyway, so it's just been wonderful. And the more I meet, so then the other thing is I read a lot, and I recommend that for all writers to read. But anyway, so you read, and then you read the poems from certain people, and it just, you think, wow, I really like the way this person writes. And then you go to the conference and you get to meet them, you know, and have lunch with them or something, and it's super fun. You know, like, it's just really great. And so
it's pretty
very
collaborative.
Rewarding.
And when I think about that, as you're talking, I'm kind of remembering that we did, and I can't remember the name of it, but we did something where we all contributed a verse.
Oh, yeah.
And they weren't all haiku verses.
No.
They were like.
That was renku. We did a renku. Yeah.
Some were prose. And you were like it reminded me of, what's that, the dragon, what's that, what's that game the kids all play, Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, okay.
It kind of reminded me of that. Like you were kind of like running the, because they need that in Dungeons and Dragons. You need somebody to make to control, like, you know, the story or follow the rules sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it really felt collaborative. It really felt like everybody was rooting for everybody.
Right.
And,
exactly.
We want to just make it as good as we can make it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. So so that renku that was like a party game, a social thing in Japanese culture, as I understand it. And so some of the poems would be very, very long. And I think we've only done like maybe 12 or 15 verses, something like that. So it's a little bit more manageable, but they can be like hundreds of verses long. But anyway, so it starts with a haiku. So the first verse is a haiku. And then after that, it's alternating verses of 2 lines or 3 lines of prose. But it follows what's called a schema. So the seasons are probably never in order, but they're specified. So we would want like a 2-line verse about spring, and then maybe if we've had a lot of inside things, I might say I want like something from outside, like more in the natural world kind of thing.
Right.
And there's a million rules, and I don't know all of them, but I've participated in renku that are led by people who are masters and renku masters. And
really?
It's really, really, you learn a lot from that.
I bet you, yeah.
And
I didn't know there was renku masters.
Yeah,
wow.
So
that makes sense.
The role that I had is the sabaki, is called sabaki, which is like the master. But anyway, but a renku master is like Marshall Richuk in Toronto, has led many, many, many renku, and I've participated in some of them, and he knows a lot about it, and you can really learn a lot. But so the idea of the renku is, like, especially the longer ones, is that it's to incorporate the whole universe in one poem. So, and again, my understanding, the first few verses are like, are calm, sort of the entry. If it's like a social occasion, like a party, then it's like, people are coming in and you're taking their coat and saying, welcome to my home and stuff like that. Okay. And then the last few verses are the same. It's like people are saying, well, thanks for a lovely evening and, have a safe drive home and stuff like that. But then in the middle, it's like, all crazy, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and everything.
It got pretty crazy.
Mythology and fantasy and outer space and you name it. So the idea is to incorporate everything in this format. And one of the other rules is you can't repeat anything. So the longer the poem is, the harder it is, because you have to read through what you already have so that you don't repeat anything. Anyway, there's a million other rules, but it can be really fun, but it's a lot of work as a someone trying to keep it all together.
I can't imagine, because I struggle with both those things. The haibun and
yes.
renku is like you're supposed to associate things,
right,
but not too obviously, like
right.
really, really subtly. And
yeah.
I'm still into like the obvious. Like I'm not even close to.
Right.
But I like doing it even obviously too.
Right.
Like I kind of enjoy doing it that way for myself anyway.
So that's the other thing I forgot, is that between the verses in the renku is that they call it link and shift, right? So you link to the verse prior, but you shift away into something new. So that's what you mean. You don't want it to be too close, but it has to be associated in some way.
Some little thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the same in haibun, which we haven't talked about either. That's the prose and haiku with a title.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Haiku don't have titles, but a haibun has a title. And so there's the title, and then there's some amount of prose, and then a number of haiku, which could be one or more than one. And same thing. They all are supposed to link to each other, those components, link to each other, and then shift away and don't repeat anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So easy to say.
Yeah. Like
much
everything.
Harder to do.
It's probably my favorite kind of format. I guess I really like it.
Okay.
I like playing around with it and doing it myself.
Right.
Like just doing a little bit of prose and then writing a haiku and then and sort of like in a memoir kind of way. You know?
For sure.
It's kind of a fun way to do it. I always thought it'd be a really cool way to do an entire memoir. Like it would be pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I know people who are attempting various projects in that form, which is interesting. The most famous probably is more like a travel journal type thing, where the prose generally would describe the actual travel. I was on a train from A to B kind of thing. And then the haiku would be maybe something that you wrote when you got to the destination kind of idea. So it ties in, but it's new material, right? Different material. Anyway.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You're pretty closely associated with Haiku Canada, and you've published quite a few things in their journal.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Got me published in it.
Yay.
I don't like to brag, but I got. It's hard to stop. Anyway, but it was you're a part of it. Now you have a position with.
I did. I don't anymore.
Oh,
I was membership secretary for Haiku Canada for 10 years, and I just passed that off last year to some other people. But so that's also a great way to get involved. It's volunteering, and Haiku Canada is a very small organization, and very kind of loose around the edges. It's just really a bunch of people who really enjoy haiku and want to see more of it and do more with it and
promote it.
Yeah, and so they have an annual conference. So that's another one I tried to get to. Is somewhere in Canada every year on the May Victoria Day long weekend. And so it moves around, but great way to meet people. It's very relaxed, but also really great workshops and readings, and you get to meet people. I recommend it. Yeah,
and you won the Borealis Prize for literary excellence.
Yeah,
that's
contribution.
A while ago.
Yeah, that
literary
was
contribution.
Okay. Yeah, that's a
pretty high
thing.
high honor.
Very high.
You went to Vancouver to.
Yes, I went to the
yeah.
gala. That's the BC and Yukon Book Prizes. Put that on. It's a prize affiliated with them and the commissioner here of Yukon. So it was a super huge honor, and it was super fun to go to the gala and when all the other prizes for the BC and Yukon Book Prizes were announced. That was a very wonderful experience, but also it was members of the Solstice Haiku group that nominated me and did all the work to get me to get me that. So I owe Solstice people for that, you see. So it
should be win-win.
Goes both ways. Yeah, exactly.
They won, you won, everybody won. I like win-win things.
Yeah,
and
that was a big one.
It's well deserved.
Thank you.
That's for sure. I guess there's just so many things. But another thing I'd like to talk about, because I would say this was actually even this was more fun than doing Haiboon or whatever. It was the Haikuzels. And the performing in Atlin we did a show.
Yeah.
That was really with music and that was really amazing.
Super fortunate to have some funding both from Yukon government and Jazz Yukon to for those things to happen. So we started with the show in Atlin. That was 2024, I think, in the summertime.
Yeah.
And and then
at the Globe Theater.
At the Globe Theater.
We've done the Globe Theater.
It's such a beautiful place.
It is.
And iconic in so many ways. And anyway, but we were super fortunate that a couple of musicians agreed to try this. So that's Lonnie Powell on percussion and Marie Gallagher, who plays various flutes and some percussion too, and vocals. I think they both did vocals at various points. But anyway, this idea of reading haiku and having these musicians play sort of inspired by the words, and then a little pause, and then another haiku, and then more music. And it was just magical. And then we really wanted to do it again. So that's when we got the government funding to... because some crazy person had this idea that it would be good to film this because it's so rare, and it's so it's like, well, dance is like that too for me. It's just like it happens and then it's over and then it's gone forever. I guess music is like that too, right? You have the performance and then it's over and it's gone. So anyway, we were so lucky to be part of Arts in the Park last summer. Was that last? Yeah, it was last summer. July or June 2025. I think it was the last day of June or something like that. And so Arts in the Park, and it was a beautiful sunny day, which, I mean, we did have a backup plan, but I mean, you can't control the weather. We were so lucky. It was beautiful. Everybody showed up, and we had 11 poets and 2 musicians on stage and a bunch of people operating cameras. And we're still in the process of doing the final editing of that film, but it's going to come out at some point. And
exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking about Joni Mitchell. She said that at one of her concerts. She said, everybody was screaming at her to play this song, play that song, Carrie, play this. And she says, that's the difference between the performing arts and, the visual arts is like nobody ever told Van Gogh to play A Starry Night again, man. Anyway, she's out. I heard her in an interview later. She feels funny about that comment.
Right.
But I really enjoyed that comment when she said it. And it's true. So that at least we're going to capture, this we capture something.
Yeah, we captured
that normally
something.
Wouldn't be.
Exactly.
Capturing.
So who knows where that'll go? That's next year. We'll get into that, I guess.
And you did the Coffee House.
You
performed there was it last time or time before?
Time before. It was a while back now, but well, that's another thing. Again,
at the United Church, I should say.
Right, and it's the Folk Society. I think they call themselves.
First Saturday of the month, but not. It's over now for the
summer.
For the summer.
Yeah,
they'll start in the fall.
That's another thing that I try to do with the Solstice group is just, people just, if you have an idea, like what do you, I don't know, what do you want to do, kind of thing, right? So people have this idea that, we could do something at the coffee house, and they're very welcoming to poets. They always say they welcome poets. And anyway, we thought about doing a musical thing there too, but it just got a little complicated. But anyway, so we just had a little... poetry reading as at their open mic, and it went really well. And we've done, we did a interview on Sea Juice one time too.
That's right, yeah.
A while back, and it's all things like that. Just if people have ideas of what they'd like to do, in Solstice, then I just try and see if we can't figure out a way to do it.
Yeah. No, it's and you have a chat. Is it chapbook or chatbook?
Chap with a P.
P.
Yeah.
I keep wondering where that comes from. Chapbook.
You'd have to ask someone who knows that, Ian.
But you have a chapbook coming out.
I do, and unfortunately, I still haven't figured the details of the launch. I was hoping to be able to say, and the launch will be, but yeah, it's still in the works. Probably the end of May, I think.
Okay.
I have another poet reading with me now, so our dates of when we can do it have shrunk because we both have schedules that I have to figure out. But anyway, hopefully we'll get this nailed down very soon. And so this is a press in Montreal called Turret House Press, and I had not heard of them, but my friend Claudia Radmore, posted on her blog last summer that she had gone to the launch because she had a chapbook with them last year, and she went to the launch and it was super fun, and so I just Googled them and sent them something, and they picked it up, and now I have a chapbook, which is wonderful.
Wow.
So a chapbook is a book, but it's usually a paper cover.
Right.
And usually shorter. I'm not sure if there's actually like a maximum page number, but it's like just like a small book, right?
Yeah. You've done some other ones before too.
Yeah.
And you did a murder mystery.
Was
that a chat?
That was a book.
That
was
an
anthology.
That was an anthology.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a collection of work by a number of poets, right, in an anthology, right? So I have two chapbooks that are called leaflets that are with Leaf Press, and I don't think they're still functioning, but they were on Vancouver Island, and in Lanceville. That was Ursula Vera, was the publisher there, and and these are little teeny tiny, like it's a haiku sequence so it's like 5 pages or something, very very small. And then with the late Jessica Simon, who was a crime fiction writer here in Whitehorse, we put together a book that's called Body of Evidence.
That's it? Yeah.
Body of Evidence, a collection of killer coup. So there's a long story about how that came about, but anyways, it's a combination. We put out a call for crime-themed haiku, which when Jessica suggested it to me, I said, Jessica, I don't think that's a thing. But anyway, a lot of people sent us stuff, and we ended up having a display at the library, and then turned that into a manuscript, and it was published by Claudia Radmore, Catkin Press in Ontario.
Oh, yeah.
And that came out in 2017. And then sadly, Jessica passed away like 6 months after the book came out. So it was a really difficult project for a long time. But I'm just so grateful now that we had that time working together, because we had so much fun putting this thing together. So yeah, crime-themed haiku, it turns out, is a thing, which I didn't think it was. But anyway, and then I have my own a debut collection of haiku that is called Contractions, and that's with Red Moon Press. So that's a book, and it's just haiku, and it's all my haiku.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to make sure, because I'm not very chronological here, but I want to make sure we talk about when the meetings are for Solstice Haiku, and I don't want to forget that. So
okay. So once a month. Usually. Yeah. And usually it's a Saturday, and like from 2 to 5. And we spend the first hour workshopping poems. So people bring poems to work on as a group and for feedback. And it's really fun and helpful, usually, hopefully. And
for sure.
Yeah. And then a couple hours of just updates on different projects that we're working on and new ideas, and sometimes a writing exercise, and sometimes more critiquing or whatever people want to do. But unfortunately, it's not a set Saturday of the month, so it just depends on the month which Saturday it is. And same with location. Like we've been meeting out at the university sometimes, or at the library, the public library sometimes, and in the summer we've been meeting at the Bean North Cafe. So it varies, and the best way to find out is through my website, because I always post it. The best way is to contact me through my website. And the Solstice also has a Facebook page, so you can find it on Facebook too. I do actually post it there, or people can just contact me and find them.
Or could they message you off on Facebook?
On Facebook, I don't check it very often.
Okay. All
whereas the website goes to
Website's
my
better.
email. Yeah.
Sounds like. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit. I was thinking I would read a couple of the haikus that I really like that you've done, and maybe you could talk about them after I read them, and I will read them twice because that's the rule.
Yeah. Okay.
This one I really liked because it was we did it at the again another project where we got involved with the community garden, the people that grow all their vegetables and whatnot right in the downtown area, 6th Avenue I think it is, and sort of Ogilvie area.
Yeah.
Or
by
close
the
to
by the clay cliffs there.
by the clay cliffs.
Yeah.
So you wrote one that I really like, and it's Garden Potluck, No One Brings a Salad. Garden Potluck, No One Brings a Salad. I guess it's I like those ones, I guess, that are kind of funny. And
very funny.
Yeah, and it's about noticing something like that, right? Some little thing that nobody's, the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Nobody brought a salad.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that it's all about observing and also putting things together in a poem in a way that either creates surprise or like a kind of like a joke in a lot of ways. It can be like a punchline at the end. Haiku are often like that. Yeah.
So this is another one I liked. Raindrops, we keep one eye on the clay cliffs. Raindrops, we keep one eye on the clay cliffs. A little more serious, but it really, when you're beside those clay cliffs, that's pretty rapid geology going on there.
Yeah.
It's always a bit of a threat, and I think that's why probably the house that's there probably got abandoned.
Yeah, I think
pretty precarious.
I think there were buildings in various places that the city had decided people shouldn't live in. Yeah, and that was actually before the slide. I wrote that. I'm pretty sure it was before
that's
the
right.
slide over, but that's on the other side.
But
Robert
still.
Service, right? But I think it's on people's minds for sure. And again, that's all from that project where we were invited to go to the garden and to write, to wander around and write about what we saw. So that was a kind of a ginkgo that we did there.
That's right, yeah.
We just wandered around and people wrote poems, and then the people at the community garden were kind enough to invite us to read they have a potluck at the end of the season, and like a harvest thing. And so we read our poems and really well received because those people in the audience all knew the garden really well.
Yeah.
So the poems really spoke to them. And then in the end, it turned out, we did that for a couple of summers, I think, and in the end we realized we had enough material that we could put together a little chapbook. So that was a small book or a chapbook, I think.
Yeah.
And we raised money from doing different readings and things like that to produce it. And it was a beautiful, beautiful little memento of that experience, or number of experiences. Anyway,
Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah.
And now, as you're saying, I really, people love those gardens. People involved with those gardens, they really love going there.
Yeah.
And creating, and there's this community and.
Yeah. And it's amazing how much produce. You know, those raised beds are not that big, but you can produce a lot of food just in one of those boxes, you know. And it's and also people learn from each other there too, right? Because it's kind of like this place, right?
Yeah.
Is that I just think it's its own little community.
Oh, I've thought
You
about
know?
getting a plot there, even
Yeah.
though we have plots at home and
Right,
everything.
right.
But I've just to be around the people and
Yeah.
you know, learn.
Yeah.
There's a lot to learn.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
And and also like they keep bees there, so there's honey,
Oh.
and there is just a lot of really interesting things.
That's right. That guy had mead one day.
Yeah, wasn't that great?
Actual like honey beer. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was neat.
yeah, it was good.
So here's another one I like a lot. A perfect soft boiled egg on a cracked plate. A perfect soft boiled egg on a cracked plate. So again, you're looking for like a what would you say? Kind of a inconsistency, but that's not quite the right word.
Or a juxtaposition.
A juxtaposition,
That's a word
yeah.
that's used sometimes. So yeah, it's like it's to do with cracks, because you crack
Right.
the eggshell,
Yeah.
and it's just putting different things together and just noticing like a little detail. And I think that's what people say too about haiku, is that by writing about a little detail, it makes it important. You know, by noticing it and writing about it,
yeah.
it kind of makes it important, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So here's what these next ones I had to think about more. So I wanted to include them, and maybe you can, maybe you could talk a little bit about them, because I had to think more about them. I kind of get them, but I kind of don't.
Okay.
And maybe that's the idea. I don't know. So this one is tap, tap, typing, the cold sound of snow. Tap, tap, typing, the cold sound of snow.
Mm-hmm.
Are you tapping keys on a computer?
Yeah, it could be.
Okay. And then you're feeling cold because you're writing about the cold, and
Could be. Yeah.
okay, all right, and because snow does not usually make sound, so
But it can on a window.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh,
That's
okay.
also where I'm going with
Okay.
that, I would say. Yeah. And that is a cold sound.
It is a cold sound,
You know?
especially if it's like wet.
Yeah.
That wet,
Yeah.
sleety stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff you and I were raised in. Okay.
Yeah.
I'd
And-
forgotten about that.
But also, that was a one-line poem, and they're harder. Sometimes they're a little bit harder to figure out, in the sense that generally write them in one line so that the break can happen in different places. It just opens up the interpretation
Right.
more, and they can be a little bit more. Sometimes they're a little bit more surreal. So there's, like you say, there's just more thought involved, and it can be about a feeling. Like lots of times the two, maybe there's two different aspects of something, or two different images that are put together, and it's just the way they're put together might create some kind of a feeling in the reader, right?
I liked it,
Yeah.
so that must have been why I liked it, but
Yeah.
I didn't quite understand it at the same time.
Yeah,
So
and
that-
I've had people say that they like a poem and they don't really understand why, and they can't explain it. Like it's like beyond words to really explain even what it means.
Yeah.
Like some haiku are really surreal. Like there's a whole, like a school,
Really?
if you will, in Japan too.
Oh, wow.
But also in English, where it's just So what's the word now? I might think of it. But gendai. That's a Japanese word. But gendai is like modern haiku, but it tends to be surreal and really hard to explain. But sometimes it's like that. It's just like, it just sounds so. Poetry can be like that too, like just what I would call mainstream poetry. But you just read it and go, well, I don't really understand it. just the way they put words together to describe other things. It doesn't like make logical sense necessarily, but it's just interesting and it sounds cool or whatever.
There's songs like that too. I was thinking like there's been songs that have taken me 50 years. You know, from when I first heard them, and now I'm just starting to kind of get them. And it could be the age I'm at too.
Right.
I don't know.
Maybe
all of a sudden, Bob Dylan especially, that type. Neil Young, some of those songs, like those types of here's another one. Low winter sun, my shadow gets run over. I like that.
Okay, true story. No, really.
That is, I get it, and I like it. I thought of it in a couple different ways. Yeah. And I thought about kind of like your shadow catching up with you and all kinds of different things too, and you kind of walking on your own shadow. Of course, there's a car driving over your shadow. Anyway, I like that one. Here's another. I should do it again because I'm supposed to do it. Low winter sun, my shadow gets run over. And this is another one I really liked. Unkindness of ravens at the side of the highway, blood-stained snow. Unkindness of ravens at the side of the highway, blood-stained snow.
Yeah.
And for anybody that doesn't know, it's unkindness is what a flock of ravens is called.
It's one of the terms. Yeah.
There's
other
more
ones
than one.
like
That's right.
Conspiracy, I think, is another one.
Or
something like that. Anyway, but I just thought unkindness really fit there for me. You know.
So that sort of came to you quickly.
Yeah, that again it's real experience. And some people will argue, and I'm on the fence, but some people think that the haiku that are written from actual experience tend to be stronger than haiku that are written just from the imagination. I'm not 100% convinced of that, but it's certainly true that there's something about a real experience that can bring something to the page in a really authentic way that resonates, with a reader. It just rings more true, maybe. But anyways,
had a lot of power.
Yeah, it has power in it, and I think. But again, it's the choice of words and all that stuff too. Like there's a lot that goes into that. But this was an unfortunate incident on the Hot Springs Road, actually, many years ago now. But where a horse had been hit.
Oh no.
Yeah, and I don't think I've ever seen so many ravens in one place.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and that was all that was, just the snow was left. But it was, and it's a natural, well, except for the traffic aspect of it. But it's a natural occurrence in the world.
Happen.
It's the natural world, whatever. But there was just something very powerful about that. And I think ravens are amazing, and they're, we all have our stories about them. But this is. It just seemed kind of like an unkindness.
Okay, and this last one, also very powerful, I thought. Wildfire smoke at midday, one street light turns on. Wildfire smoke at midday, one street light turns on. Was that another real...
No.
Busted.
Well, it was true that the street light was on in the middle of the day, and I created the rest of it to fit. And that poem has gone on to do quite well. A lot of people like that poem, and I think it speaks to how many wildfires there have been lately, and how it's really. In people's consciousness, the fear, I think, and the reality of wildfire and how devastating it can be. And even just the smoke, like we know living here that lots of times the fire might be really far away, but
Mm.
we still suffer from the smoke. You know, but for it to be enough smoke to turn a street light on, that's going to be something closer, right?
Yeah.
That's serious. And yeah, so I think it just speaks to
How scary it is.
Yeah, the fear of that.
That's what I
Yeah,
get anyway,
yeah.
because it is. I mean, we've had a
Mhm.
couple now that have been probably less than 100 miles, 100 kilometers away.
Yeah, yeah.
So in the last
Yeah.
couple of years. So
Yeah,
it's,
absolutely. But then
yeah.
it's also the idea of like, you know, like a light bulb turning on, you know,
Oh,
maybe it's
yeah.
you know,
A thought.
or like an idea,
yeah.
like maybe we should be doing something about
A little
this.
about. Yeah.
Or something. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that. I really appreciate you reading my work like that.
I thought it might be because you read, ours, right? So I thought it might be fun for you to hear me
Yeah.
read yours.
Absolutely.
Because it's, yeah. I can't think of anything that is there anything that I'm not asking you?
I can't think of anything offhand.
There's probably lots.
Well, yeah.
Because there's lots. I mean, you've done.
Oh, I could talk about haiku dialogue. I haven't talked about that.
Oh, great. Sure.
Okay, so this is another volunteer thing, but I should mention the Haiku Foundation, which is a website, and it's in the States, but it's also international. And the idea of it is to be like the home for English language haiku,
Oh.
like international, you know, like everything about it. So it's massively huge. And a few years ago, I was invited to do a feature. So it's a weekly blog post, basically. So it's called Haiku
Oh, nice.
Dialogue, and it's basically just a prompt exercise where we have guest editors who will have a prompt. And people write in, we have like a submission form, and people write in their poems to the prompt. And then the guest editor selects the ones they like and does a post with the poems they like, and then another post with just a few poems with some comments about the poems, so you can learn sort of why they like these specific ones. Anyway, so yeah, it's
how would somebody submit to that then?
Just go to the website and
What's the website called?
It's called the Haiku Foundation.
Haiku Foundation of something, or
no? It's just the
just
Haiku
Foundation.
Yeah. And
Okay.
this particular feature is called Haiku Dialogue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So every 3 weeks there's a prompt, and anyone can send their poem in.
Oh, I'll do that.
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, that'll
Yeah.
be fun.
Yeah.
Huh.
And it's we get about 200 submissions per prompt. So like the submission window is like 3 or 4 days. I guess 4 days.
Okay.
So that's quite a few submissions, and
Yeah.
they're from all around the world.
Oh, that's
and
fun.
Yeah, it's really, really fun. So yeah, I like to promote that.
Yeah.
And it's a great website if you want to learn about anything about haiku. There's all kinds of information there. It's
Oh.
amazing.
Great.
Yeah.
All right.
Great.
Anything else you want to talk about?
Melting snow.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Slowly, but please
Yeah.
melt.
Yeah.
No, this has been great, Ian. Thanks so
Okay.
much.
Thank you. It was really fun. Yeah. All right. Solstice Haiku, KJ Munro. That was that's it. That's the show. And